to Ukraine, believe and pray.
So next up will be Sam Rehman from EPAM. He's the CTO of EPAM. He's going to tell you, it's going to be a slightly more technical talk because he previously served as an engineering executive at Grid Dynamics, Oracle, a number of other companies. He holds numerous patents. And he also happens to own the Greenhouse Cafe, a free trade organic coffee shop with 2 locations in San Francisco. So while you're here, you should visit. So the stage is yours.
My wife's going to be very, very happy. Thanks for that plug, by the way. Yeah, stop by. I'm a bit of a coffee freak. I'm actually going to let you guys decide, if you don't mind, if that's okay. So you guys doing okay? Yeah. You still awake? Yeah. Should we get some vodka in here and maybe lighten up a little bit? But if you can't, just maybe come closer. I think that would be much more helpful. Not used to holding a mic like that. I don't sink, obviously. But I actually want to let you guys have a choice because I originally was told that there's going to be a technical conference. And I'm an engineer, right? So sorry, that's all I could do. And I actually want to talk about something that's somewhat more technical. It's not really technical. We're not going to have code on the screen or anything like that. But we're going to talk a bit about technical. Is that okay with you guys? Or would you guys like me to talk about what EPAM is about and what we do in Ukraine? What's more interesting to you guys? Technical is fine? Okay. All right. Well, can we switch to the slides to technical? Is that okay? Why? Who knows the game Spot the Difference? Spot the Difference? Okay, thank you very much. One guy. One person actually, okay, 2. We have 2 that actually read the comic strip in the newspaper. Thank you very much. But anyway, it's a simple game that you see 2 pictures, and basically between the 2 pictures, oh, thank you. I thought it's gesture-based. I thought you have like pattern recognition on the screen that I can just wave and it would flip to the next slide. But anyway, let's play Spot the Difference. I want you guys to tell me the difference between the 2. It's a real-life Spot the Difference, all right? Difference between the 2 acts that I'm going to do. Just 3 of them. Just shout it out. So here's the first act. That's the first one. Okay. Here's the second one. Okay. What's the difference? It's not a trick question, huh? Eyes are closed in the second one? I stopped looking, didn't I? Yeah. And I built, I think I have more than 24 shrink wrap applications. Half a dozen of them is still shipping right now. There's code in the database that's actually my code. There's product that I've shipped, and part of them is still shipping. And you know what's funny? In the old days, I'm trying to find the clicker while I talk. Oh, there it is. In the old days, when we shipped software, it was exactly the latter, which is we build it, we try to observe how we build it, then right after I let go, I ship the software, goodbye. We stop looking. People ship software like that. People ship operating system that way. People ship everything that way. And they stop looking. And then they go back into a dark room and they say, let's come up with brand new ideas. I'm a bit of a philosophy freak besides coffee. Coffee philosophy, go hand in hand. But anybody like David Hume? Maybe, maybe not. Kahn? Maybe, maybe not. But Hume says that all ideas basically came from impressions, came from observations. And this is what I'm trying to preach today. This is what I'm trying to convince everybody today, which is the software development cycle does not end. The cycle actually is continuous. It really goes around in a circle. In the old days, if you looked at software, and yes, trust me on this one, this shows that I know, I can remember in the old days, where software was really built by scientists, right? They're built by scientists for whom? For scientists. Toggle switch, anybody remember? No, really? Toggle switch, yeah. Some of them actually smile and say, this guy's really old, thank you very much. But literally, we were building software for scientists. That's what we're building it for. And it's built by scientists, so it's fine. 200 people, I know what you're going to need. You need a math equation, I know what you're going to need. So software was built by direct interaction with people. And there was no guesswork. Because I'm a scientist, you're a scientist. We know exactly what we need. Done deal. That's how we built software. It moved on to a stage now. More people are trying to use software. But you know what we tell people? Anybody remember old days in Unix, how to do a ROF to print to a typesetter? No, okay. All right. .nm, anybody remember? No? Okay, anyway. It was really basically presenting whatever feature is possible. You have certain features, your CPU can do so much. You have a file system, you can expose the storage. Expose the storage, what else do you expect? Large files, not large files, sequential files, all you need. Who cares? So you expose what features you need. Why do you think software was so difficult to use? Anybody ever heard of a user actually like to use command line? An engineer cannot live without a command line. If you don't have more than 2 terminals running on your screen, X terminal on your screen, you're not a very good engineer, I'm sorry. We live by it, but it was built because what's available we exposed. And that was still possible. Then it moved on to market-based. I used to hire a lot of product managers. Product managers did a wonderful job. What they do is, and they're still absolutely needed, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying we phased them out, they're absolutely needed. In fact, they're more important in the future. But they're absolutely needed. Product managers go in, they do market analysis, they do market sizing, they study the market, they try to understand what's necessary in the market, then they come up with product requirement documents, PRDs or SRDs and all these definitions. And then they try to ship software based on that. And then guess what? Once they ship it, they close their eyes again. That's exactly what they do again, because what else can they do, right? But we're moving to a different stage now. We're moving to a whole different ball game now. You cannot talk to all your customers anymore. You can't even talk to 1% of your customers anymore most of the time. Now what are you going to do? And you know what? I'll give you a tip. This is one little hint from an older guy. They're actually going to tell you one little tip. Don't listen to the users. I'm being serious. Don't listen to them. It's not what they say they want. It's how they act. That's what you want to see. It's observing their pattern. That's the truth. It's not about what they tell you they want. If you follow exactly what they tell you, they said, I want a round button on that upper right corner. And if you try to do that, I'll guarantee you nobody would click on it. So it's not about them it's not about them lying. It's about you don't know how it is until you try it. Seriously. Until you try it, you really don't know. So what am I trying to convince you here? What am I trying to preach here? All right? Everybody is in software now. Years ago when I was still in product companies and so on, I would have to convince other people that's not in software company to even touch a single line of code. If I have to go to another company and say, you know what, can you write a single line of code? Can you build something in a single line of code? It's like, no, that's software. Ew, I don't want to touch software. My business, logistics. My business is pharmaceutical. I don't want to touch software. Now, if you don't change your software, what do you think is changing your top line? What do you think is your business right now? Travel and hospitality, what do you think is the number one thing? Is there user engagement? Is there software? What do you think about, 90% of the business right now, you don't have a presence in software, you don't have a business, period. It is your differentiator. This is how you stay relevant. And what I'm trying to explain, and I think I might be preaching to the choir, you guys might be with me already, but what I'm trying to say is, to be able to run a responsive business, to be able to run that same tempo, you have to sense, you have to analyze, you have to decide, and guess what? You do that in the loop and do that in the cycle forever and ever and ever and ever. Isn't that fun? Isn't that fun? But you know what they call that? They call it innovation. That's what true innovation is. That's why I love engineering, right? And you don't throw things away, and please don't throw things away. Don't throw away all that knowledge. It's not about just reacting to one small thing and throw away your knowledge. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, I was sitting down with a good friend of mine, and I was trying to understand exactly how we innovate. And I realized most of what I thought I came up with, the so-called patterns that I have and so on, I realized those came to me through talking to people. Yes, they didn't come from me. They came from small pieces of ideas from other people I work with. They came from customers that I work with. When a customer says, what if I move this little piece over here? And then another idea says, well, that's what she said, but then maybe I should actually move it over there. That's what she really wanted. A new idea came. It's like a life. It's like a circle. It's innovation, right? This is probably, this is my graphics. I'll take responsibility for it. It's a little confusing, but if you looked at all these different steps, anybody who's actually done a CI pipeline or anything like that, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You know, you can map this over to Jenkins with your Maven built and all that kind of stuff, and then running on Ansible and do whatever you want to do. But if you looked at all these steps, anywhere from inception of the ideas, well, turning the ideas into the definition of it, all the way that loop into scoping, into implementing it, integration and testing, and you see that loop over there. That's basically your CI, your loop that goes around circles, and then go into retrospective, try to improve the process itself. Then you go into promotion, meaning that, okay, I like that label, let's push it up. Then you go into targeting the customer, which is who do you want to test with, and then so on. And you go around this whole cycle. We used to think that that cycle would just go around and around, round and round and round. That's not the case. That cycle was absolutely pointless, I can tell you. If you don't have engagement on the left side to tell you exactly what works and what doesn't work, and you don't have insights within the company. Because if you rely 100% on engagement on the left side, which is how the user is acting on pattern, you got to be no better than anybody else. You're exactly like everybody else. If it's on the right side, if you use your right side, that's your value add to it. Am I running short on time? Okay. All right, well, let me just go through one. So this is a big data mart. I'm not going to go through it. Anybody actually want to see the slide? I can show you about data ingestion, what we're doing with CEP, what we're doing with big memory, and how to actually move the context over to do personalization and so on. But I'm going to have some parting thoughts. Oh, one thing, sorry. Data science and labs. It's really important. Everybody talk about data science. Data science needs a pipeline for experimentation. Uzi does not do it. Hadoop does not support it today. We need it. We desperately need it. We're building it. We want to open source it. And it's desperately needed. It's not a perfect world. There are gaps in there. Lots of gaps within big data and analytics. But I'm going to go, before I go, this is my bit of my trademark, I want to leave you with some parting thoughts. If you can't measure it, don't build it. In the old days, you say, if you can't test it, don't build it. If you can't measure it, don't build it. I'm serious. If you cannot measure the result, if you cannot see whether people use it or not, don't build it. That's not a feature you should release. 2, target and release often, then watch it, be curious. Why are people using it? Why are people not using it? Don't act only on impulses, but test on them. If you see something interesting, test it, but don't just overreact to it. Question everything, including yourself. And then last but not least, don't assume you know what the question is. The whole point of data science is to find the question, not the answer. And what is the answer? 42? Anybody knows? Hitchhiker's Guide to Galaxy? Come on, guys, stay with me for a little bit longer. Anyway. 42. Thank you so much. Thank you. Anyway, sorry, I'm taking up too much time. But I hope that was interesting. Anybody want to talk about, you know, the whole cycle of software development and about 42 and what was the question behind 42? I'd love to talk more about it.
Thank you, Sam. That was awesome. Thank you very much.